Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 6th of December. So, euro dollar, and well, as I said yesterday, my recording, it could be a bit rangy, and certainly it was rangy. It did exactly what I was looking for, but I wasn't here to trade it, which was a bit disappointing when I got back and saw it literally had gone into that daily pivot and rolled over. But what for today? Well, I don't know. In terms of what's going on here at the moment, it looks like another bearish day here. We just need to look for the potential back to yesterday's lows. It is range bound, as I said yesterday. It's making it sort of, well, maybe we're tapping along this sort of area just below the weekly pivot enough to see a bit of a rollover, in which case we could be looking back towards last week's lows. So for now, I'm sitting there wanting to get short, but I'll leave it until we're into the morning a little bit after 8 o'clock. And so, sorry, I'll just come back down to a 5-minute time frame. No need for that. But really just needing probably a retracement here to sell into to see if we can run it further. But as I said, there is a risk with the euro in terms of it's pretty range bound. Talking about being range bound, here's another one. Now, I was right on this one as well in terms of expectation of it pushing through a little bit yesterday, but again, it's still pretty range bound. We had an inside day yesterday on the pound. It did have a pitch up, went back towards its through its weekly pivot just. I was wondering whether it moved up to the daily pivot quite quickly, but pitched up through towards the 200 there, and then reversed around from that point. Not the smoothest of moves, but it has sold off since. Now, hasn't quite got the daily pivot, so again here, maybe if it was to retrace into that sort of area this morning, I would look at the potential short side, but my preference really is more euro than cable normally, but we'll see. There is the potential for that. Dollar yen. So the dollar yen again inside day, as sort of suspected, we might see rallies in it pushing back up. It's a weak, fundamentally weak pair, and well, it's edged its way up, then sold off and pushed up again. It's still got lower highs, lower lows, so it could still roll, but looks like it's put a bit of a bottoming pattern here. It's got a V bottom at the moment in this shorter time frame. Where to? Well, could pitch back up into the sort of moving averages here. Pretty flat though, as a lot of these moving averages are across the different markets on the 60-minute. So could just pitch back in towards those and stall, but it, as I say, does look well, so weaker for the yen against the US dollar here. Okay, Aussie dollar. Aussie dollars continued the sell-off this morning, through the Asian session here. Sold off strongly yesterday back to that weekly pivot. It's now all the way back to its monthly. Tick those boxes. Where to? Is it going to bounce from here? It's trying. Got the potential, if it does start getting some movement back, to get back towards that daily pivot. Really got hit yesterday, and well, in the afternoon there, just another step down, but it's not an intraday pairing for me normally. It's got the slightest of divergences running across the lows here. It may get back towards its daily pivot. It's probably not one I'd rather trade. I'd rather be on the short side of it if it does get up to something. So there we go. It's starting to roll. And finally, the Canadian dollar. Well, that's doing everything it should do. It's now, sorry, I'm on a monthly here. Let's just go back to this weekly chart here. It's now ticked that box of catching up to those prior highs there. Now, still got some potential to push from this wedge pattern further, but it's sort of ticked the initial box there. I've been talking about it for weeks. It's finally moved into it. Nice bounce off these key moving averages here, off the 34 in the end. Over the last couple of days, it's seen it push. Where to now? Where it's sort of getting itself a little bit extended on this sort of some of these time frames, and it's got the daily pivot below. Maybe it'll roll over today a little bit. There's a bit of divergence running across the highs here, double divergence in fact. It might just roll back. So looking through the overall markets, there's the potential for a couple of maybe rallies at some point today, early-ish maybe, but I'd rather be on the other side of many of these markets. I don't intraday trade the Canadian dollar, but I was more interested on the bigger picture there and what it's done, and it's, as I say, it's ticked one of the boxes, and with that movement overall, it might, with the double tops there, it might, oh sorry, I'll come back to the weeklies, it might just be enough to give it a bit more of a push down. But we'll look at acceleration on this current bar, and there is a current bar, so you need to be a bit careful, but that looks like it's got some momentum, it's engulfing, it's bullish, so perhaps it's got more upside to happen. Okay, that's pretty much it for me in that respect. Let's just quick flick through the news. We had the Aussie retail sales, that's out, so that's done. Apparently OPEC meetings today, we'll see. We've got trade balance, Canadian. Oh right, okay. We've got some speakers. I think is the biggest thing out this morning. In terms of movers, we've got the for the pound, we've got Ramsden speaking. Then it's 10 o'clock. It's quite late. Some of these speakers, and then non-farm payrolls at 1:15 for the GDP, ADP rather, data. ISM non-manufacturing, the services data for the US at 3. So, and then a couple of speakers later on in the day there, and Powell speaking at 11:45 p.m. I won't be sitting up for that one. Okay, so some news out, but it's a bit gappy and more poised towards the afternoon. There we go. Have a great day. Bye for now.